G'day. Hello everybody. It's Ron. It's just my favourite cup. How are you all? I'm at that funny time where the light is going weird, but I found if I hold my cup about here, the light's okay. I won't do that. So I wanted to pop on and say hello and talk about a couple of things. Talk about this year generally, not the whole thing, because I mean, who wants to talk about that again? But the major aspects that we've had, the upcoming aspects that are happening next, how everything coincided with COVID and everything else going on, and what's going to happen moving forward. Aside from that, I'm actually going to come on live tomorrow night, which is Sunday night for me, which will be Saturday morning for the USA. Now I know I'm going to do live and I cancel and I'm live and I cancel. I'm going to do it this time. Okay, so let's have a little chat about stuff. When COVID began in January, but a little before that actually, the end of December, the year before, Saturn and Pluto came together in the solar system, so they were in line with each other like this. They didn't go like this, they were like that, exactly, in Capricorn. So Capricorn was behind the backdrop. And then came about COVID and this year. Now, as astrologers, many of us knew that this year was going to be really, really huge. We certainly didn't know, I don't believe, that it would be as huge as it was and would last as long as it did. I swear there could be no more bugs, trucks, planes, helicopters or other noises disturbing me every time I turn the video on. So Saturn and Pluto were together. Saturn moved, they were doing some retrograde stuff. Saturn moved on and is moving on to go away from Capricorn. And on the 15th of December this year, Saturn will move finally into Aquarius and bugger off away from Capricorn. So things are going to change. Now, before that, Jupiter will come past Pluto because it's been hovering behind Pluto, front and behind because it's retrograde. It's going to zoom in past Pluto and it's going to join Saturn, conjunct, like this, at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Within the 2 days after that, so around the 15th to the 17th of December, they will both again be joined at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So a whole different sign. Now, that to me is important, and I think it's going to bring about a whole bunch of changes. Now, over here in Australia, we're already seeing changes. It doesn't surprise me at all, though. They're opening up borders, they're allowing people to travel, they're doing whatever. We've still got COVID here, but they're opening it up because it's Christmas, and you know they can't lose trade at Christmas. So whatever happens with COVID, I don't think really matters at this point because they're all opening up here. So that's in Australia. So I see by the end of December that things are just going to change radically. Our whole perception of COVID is going to change, and staying at home and all the things that we've been doing. It'll never change the way that we are with each other, social distancing, washing our hands and things like that. I don't believe that'll change at all. I think we're always going to be slightly separated, which is interesting because as a whole collectively we try and be together as one, but this now we're separated. And you can't get too close. You know, you got to do the old fist bump or this or whatever. And before, you give somebody a hug. So things are changing, and that's that Saturn gives distance. It gives us some boundaries. It's like, no, I need my own boundaries here. That's what it's done. So, that light. When it moves into Aquarius, it's a whole higher level of, well, everything. Jupiter is a benefic planet. It's good luck. It enlarges everything that it touches. So when it touches Saturn in that period in December, I think we're going to see some sort of reoccurrence of something, and then very quickly it will dissipate and go away. That's just my opinion. Now, when Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct like this in the solar system, in Aquarius is a higher level than Capricorn. So they're both ruled by Saturn, but Saturn in Aquarius is just that higher than the Capricorn. So we've seen all this government politics bullshit all year long, and the election and everything that just fell perfectly in time with what was going on. Next year, well, at the end of the year and next year, when it is in Aquarius, things are going to change. Aquarius is higher, much higher knowledge, a true understanding of what's going on, especially of what we've been through this entire year. I think we're going to see a change in the internet, in social media, the media itself. There's going to be a whole lot of different changes that are related to Aquarius, and that's all of those things: social media, computers, technology, everything. So whether we see a surge in technology, and we will actually, because of COVID, other people are coming out with programs, and IT's just like right up there along with healthcare at the moment too. So COVID has changed the world, essentially, at this point in time. But when it moves on to those next two planets and they're joined, then it's a whole new ballgame, because Pluto and Saturn is transformation and structure coming together, and like building but seemingly falling apart. Now obviously there's other planets doing their thing as well, so it's important to note that too. But I'm curious to see what next year is going to bring. To me, this whole year's been exactly how I thought it would be. It started when the conjunction started, the COVID, the quarantining, all of that, the economy falling to pieces, and it's finishing as the conjunction has finished. Now, I know in America it's not finishing. People have COVID really badly, but you're going to be surprised at how quick it will vanish like this. I just know it. By next year it'll be like some distant memory, like, oh, remember in 2020 when we had to stay at home? How crazy was that? But in saying that, I do think that we're going to be changing some things in the way that we deal with travel and tourism and all those types of things, because we've seen the world get better and get worse too, by the way. It's not just getting better. There's things going wrong in the world because people aren't in places. Something that's interesting, my beach is the Great Barrier Reef. So you go snorkeling there, everybody comes from all over the world to go snorkeling there. Because it's been untouched, you would think that it's pristine at the moment and the coral's beautiful and that everything's going well. It's not. It's not doing well at all. In fact, it's almost like it needed the human touch. So it's not how we perceive it to be. So yeah, next year is going to be super interesting. Now, the next thing that I wanted to touch on was some of the cases. Suzanne Morphew, Adventures with Purpose, went to go and find her and then had to leave because their life was being threatened. Unbelievable. First of all, Barry Morphew's out there with a shotgun on his shoulder telling everybody to get lost, and now people that are searching for Suzanne are being ran out of town. So that didn't go too well, unfortunately, but I'm waiting for the 1st of November to see what they filmed, because they filmed something. You can go and have a look at their channel. I'll put it up there, not the link. I might pop the link up there, but I'll put them in the description and see what they did do and what happened. And they actually got a lot of information from a lot of us YouTubers, mediums, psychics, myself, and some things happened. Now, I don't know who found what, who did what, but something happened. There was a blue t-shirt found. I'm not 100% sure whether that is Suzanne's. It seems odd to me that it's there. I think it could be a coincidence. I looked through every photo possible of Suzanne to see if she was wearing a blue t-shirt and couldn't find one except for the tank top. But that's not to say that it's not hers. But there's stab wounds up here, down here, and soiling, and what looks like bleaching as well. It's a strange find, but strange shit happens. If it was somebody else's t-shirt, then maybe they were stabbed and maybe there's another body out there, and that's certainly not unheard of. So, AK, and who is just AK, I love AK. He is doing so well trying to search. He's been in Salida. He's been doing some stuff and finding out what's going on, and then the guys from Adventures with Purpose went down there, and like I said, that didn't go too great. They only got to search one spot, and they wanted to search 3 or 4 spots, I do believe. So that's really about it with Suzanne Morphew. It's like there's a barrier every single time someone wants to look for her. They're run out of town with somebody with a shotgun. Now, I will say that they had tactical response. They had snipers and everything watching them, and those people told them to get out of there because people were circling their RV, and I'm not sure who it was, but I'm assuming Barry's friends, and maybe even Barry, I don't know. So I hope that Suzanne's found soon. I think that the guy is a little bit smarter than we've thought, and perhaps she is really in concrete and somewhere really miles away. So I hope the guys can get out there and search. I hope that Morphew doesn't get a heads up. The dogs, I hate it when they do that because they're always very timely. Yeah, I'll keep you updated with Suzanne, obviously. Next, I just want to have a talk about the Laurie, Vallo and Chad Daybell and the video that I did last night. Laurie, Vallo and Chad Daybell, they have had their trial put together. So they're going to be tried in the same courtroom, which is interesting to me because if you watch the video that I did last night, I think that they both have shared psychosis. Now, like I said in the video, I don't think that this is an excuse for anything that they did, but if you follow the trail from those two down to who they murdered, it shows quite clearly that everybody that they murdered, they believed was obstructing their mystical delusions. So, ow, wow, we have these huge flies at the moment and they're biting really badly. I apologise. So that's something that I focus on with the astrology is the psychological aspects of mental health. So even though they are two super psychotic people that killed their husbands, wives, children, brothers, everybody, I believe that they have mental illness. So if you're interested in it, have a watch of that. What I think they have is called folie à deux. Folie à deux. Folie à deux. Two people that are mad. Shared psychosis. So there's various levels of this psychosis, and then when you meet another person that has psychosis, there's other levels of it too. It can turn into homicidal rage. That's what it did. So everybody that's like, why on earth did they do that? Why did they think the kids were zombies? Why, what's going on? I think it's pretty easy to see if you have a look at the video that I did, which explains this phenomenon as it is. It's not used in court, by the way, so they can't use it, but it explains it really well, and to me helps me sort of understand why they did what they did. They shared this mystical delusion that Chad Daybell's new world, or the world that he lived in, and Laurie already was separating from herself anyway, and delusional because she lived by scriptures. Not that you're delusional if you live by the Bible or scriptures, but she took it to a whole new level. So if you're interested in that, have a watch of that video that I did. I can't remember what it's called. Something. Vallo, Daybell. Shared psychosis, folie à deux. So it's really interesting. If you're interested in getting into the really nitty-gritty of mental illness or issues like that, and how they relate in the chart, because I do bring the charts up and show how they do relate, then have a look at that one. So what I'm going to do now is drop a few handy hints. I get lots of emails and lots of questions, and I welcome them. I love them. Sometimes it's hard to answer them all, so I thought, well, I'll just answer a whole bunch of questions now. Now, a lot of the questions that I have are to do with the mapping. Now, I'll try and explain it the best way that I can. The chart that we always need a chart to start with. And the chart requires extremely accurate. So if we're looking for a person, the chart that we need is one that is set up for the exact date, time, and place that person was last visually seen, spoken to on the phone or text by a viable source. So not by somebody that could have possibly done something to them, but by someone that didn't do something to them, somebody eliminated. So we want a viable source of a last seen time. So when people write to me, and when you lovely, beautiful people that I love so much write to me and have cases, the best thing you can do to help me out is find a time that this happened. Emily, thank you so much for that case. I'm going to look into it. Emily sent me a case, and it had the time, the place, everything. So then you can map it too. If there's an address, it's even better. And most often people are last seen in a particular place, whether it's through CCTV, that's another way as well, or just somebody visually saw them. So we need that time, and it has to be accurate. So with thinking of an example, with Suzanne Morphew, now we didn't have a clear timeline. We didn't know that the time that the police were rang on Mother's Day. We knew it was sometime just before 6. So I did a chart for 5:55 because that's just before 6. It turns out that we found out a lot later that it's 5:46, and that completely changes a lot of things. It doesn't change the planets inside the wheel, but it changes the wheel on the outside. Every 4 minutes that changes. So, and if it's in the wrong place, it changes as well. I digress. So you pop that into astro.com, which is a great program to use. It's free. The heading, the date, the time, and the place that they were seen, and then make the chart. That chart gives us the directions, the clues, everything that's happened, we can glean from that chart. We don't need to look at their natal chart or everybody's natal chart involved, unless of course it gets more progressed, and then yes, I'll ask for a natal chart and other ones. But one event chart or a last seen emergency chart, 911, whatever it is extremely accurate, and it has to be used. And another thing is the quicker the better. So if there's a case going on, then get to me instantly, because if I can do it within 24 to 48 hours, then often the person seems to be found. The same scenario as the police, find them in the first 48 hours. It seems to work along the same lines for some reason. Not sure why. So you make the chart, and then with the chart, I'm going to actually show you what I do. There's certain areas where we get mileage outwards, so we know how far to go out. And these vary depending on the different charts we use. And then depending on the ruling planet that rules the person that's missing, or the suspect in certain instances, we get the direction of where they're going. So bear with me a second and I'll grab a chart and show you. Got a microphone hidden down here. Just go through my paperwork. I write on everything, back, front, doesn't matter what it is. Nothing matches. If anything, God forbid, ever happened to me, nobody would know any of my writings. Okay. I've got Shelley Boggio here. I'm working on that one. But we're going to have a look at Linda Stoltzfoos. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you very much. She's given me this chart. In fact, Vicky gave me all of the information, including maps and a presentation that is just spot on. It really helps with Linda, and I am working on it. Okay, so this is Linda Stoltzfoos' last seen chart. It's got no times on it, and my notes are on it, so I apologise. Now, just down here, this is what I do all the time. 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, all the way to 330, and then write the signs so I can convert these. See that 11 Libra? I want to convert that down here. So I add 11 to 180, which is 191 on a map from 0 north. Okay, anyway, I'm digressing. All right. So let me have a little look. All right, so what I've done, this is the ascendant and the descendant here. They're always the same, but opposite signs. 11 degrees Libra and 11 degrees Aries. Down the bottom here is the IC, or the end of the matter. That's 13 degrees of Capricorn. So what I do is I go between 11 and 13 miles outwards. So I'll do a circle out 11 miles, or actually 1.1 miles to start with, then 1.3, then 11, and then 13, and then 110, and then 130, so on and so forth. So I utilize these areas, and not always together, but especially when they're close, 11 to 13, it gives us a nice little wedge to look into. So that's how I do the mileage outwards, the radius. Now the direction comes from the ruling planet. So in this instance, this area is Linda. She's ruled by Libra. Libra's ruling planet is Venus. And Venus is up here at 5 degrees of Gemini. So to turn that into this, we go to Gemini 60 and add 5 to it, and then we have 65 degrees. So on the map, going straight up is 0 degrees of Aries, and then if you were to go about that far, that's about 65 degrees. So then I would draw a line from the last seen spot to 1.1 miles, and then 11 miles, and so on and so forth. So you can see that it's really only this area, the ruling planet of this area, and then the line down the bottom here. They're the only ones I use, unless of course we're doing a whole following thing. If this chart was Gannon's, I'd have about 15 of them to start with, because there were so many, and we could follow Letitia Stalk around the place because of the charts. But this particular one is a static one. Linda went missing, that's it. There was no, chasing her around the countryside, and Justo Smoker, he was arrested and that was it. So that's how I do the mileage and outwards and the directions. Now what seems to happen quite often is this side, which is the perpetrator, shows us like directionally. So that's Aries, so the perpetrator is actually Mars, which is there at 26 Pisces. Now that turns into 356 degrees. If we look down here and add 26 to 330. So I map this and the ruler, and quite often it goes to the perpetrator's house, work, or where he's been, and sometimes to where the missing person is. So that's how I read a basic chart and turn it into a map. It's just like 3 or 4 spots. Okay, there's a lot more to it than that, obviously, but that's the basics. Is the most important thing is to get that time right, and most often it requires a ton of research, and as a lot of true crimers, YouTubers and other true crimers would know, doing research takes a whole bunch of time in itself. So you can spend hours upon hours just finding the exact time, place, etc., and a reliable source just to come up with the chart. But like I said, it gives you a whole bunch of clues. As you can see, I've written out, there's all my map areas, what represents Linda, the closest aspects. So I take notes, and copious notes. Another question that I get asked is, am I going to do classes? Yes, I am going to do classes, but I'm going to wait until I've had my surgery or my back's fixed, because I just can't dedicate the time, and sometimes I can't move, or something's going wrong, or I'm really tired, or whatever. Excuses. But right now I can't even feel my left foot, so that's a concern. I can't commit to it right now, but I will. I'm going to do lessons. But you can go to my website. I've got free lessons on there, PDFs that you can download, workbooks that I made, big ones, calculation manuals if you want to learn how to do it by hand. There's beginners and intermediate lessons. There's things that you can pay for as well, just cheap, $1.99, $2, something like that. So that would help me out nicely. So go and have a look there. And then I will do a class. I'm going to do a criminal astrology class, or forensic astrology. Perhaps through Zoom or some other means like that. Definitely. And also a HORARY class. I really want to do that too. If you haven't already got it, I highly recommend Alfie Levy, his master's work on HORARY astrology. It's great. So if you're a HORARY astrology buff, buy that. Now, I have noticed on my analytics for YouTube that 73% of people that watch my videos don't subscribe. So please subscribe wherever. I'm going to put some flashing lights or something. Hit the button, subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications, do all that jazz. I mean, I know everybody follows like crazy cooks and weirdos and dogs and whatever. Please follow me. It'll really help me. At the moment, I get paid zilch from YouTube. Not that you need to concern yourself with that, but I've done 160 odd videos and have received nada, and I just need to crank up those numbers a little bit. So even though a lot of people, i.e. the woman that watches and puts the thumb down every time, thinks that I make tons of money from it, I actually don't. So please subscribe, share, tell everyone about it. Tell everyone about the forensic astrologer, the person who solves crime using astrology. I want to get this out there. I want more people to know that it works, and there's actually a lot of other people that are using it now. I did a Google search last night on forensic astrology, and it blew my mind, because people that I know and have taught and that have bought my book and that I've been friends with, and people just that I know of, have learnt forensic astrology and are doing mapping and are trying, their hardest, and I love seeing that. Love it. So I'm really happy to see that. There's a lot of forensic astrologers, criminal astrologers out there. If you love me, you'll subscribe. No, you don't have to. I'll never force anybody to do anything. I'll just starve. Only joking. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there. I am looking forward to the next case, because, well, I'm not looking forward to a case. I'm never looking forward to a case. That was really bad wording. But this case is an interesting one, and it's Shelley Boggio. And I'm doing it for somebody that left a comment, and I can't remember your name. Oh no, I'll write it down. But Shelley Boggio, it's an old case actually, but a very interesting one, and I'm going to do that because I've been really having a good look into that one. We're going to keep up with Suzanne Morphew, see what's going on. Let's see what Barry does next. See if Adventures with Purpose get in and do the search. Keep watching AK, Tube Crime, and their extremely symbolic videos that I understand, but I'm like, I think everybody is. AK, if you're watching, again, you're doing a great job. Keep at it, but rest. This is hell. This is so hard. And also, guys, AK, Tube Crime, anybody that's watching Adventures with Purpose, if you do watch this, if you've got any other cases and you need to know where to search, drop me an email, please. AK, you know my email, I think, or just talk to me down below. I'll put my email's in the description, so if you have any cases that you want looked at that you're going to search, please just drop me a line, because I can possibly help point to a particular direction. And if I can do that, then I really would like to. I'd have, going somewhere blind, and I know you need to go based on evidence, of course, but I know that you're open-minded as well, and the maps always go to the right areas. I just want to be able to help, so definitely chuck me an email if and when you've got another case and you leave Salida, if you haven't left already. Okay guys, thank you for watching as always. I'm going to come on live tomorrow. I'm going to talk about astrology, just general astrology. We can talk about your sun signs, your moon signs. We can talk about whatever you want. I'm happy to discuss anything except for politics. I'll just tell you right now, I think Donald Trump's going to win. That's it. I have no feelings towards it, except my feeling throughout the whole time has been that. Hopefully there's a complete upset like I thought and things will change and whatever else, but that's that. So I won't be answering political questions. No. But I'll answer anything else at all. So tomorrow night in about an hour and a half's time from now, which is 7:30, 9 o'clock, which is, maybe I'll make it probably like 10:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is then about 8:30 Saturday morning. So it's early, but you can watch it later if you want to anyway. But also be there, because I want people to talk in the comments. But also you can watch it later, but be there. Alright guys, take care.